Hello everyone, welcome to Principle Repo. This is Jad again. And I know it's been a little bit over a month since the last Principle video tutorial. And I apologize, but I recently just started a new job. So I've been really busy with that transition and haven't really had a chance to sit down and record a video tutorial. But we're back. I'll promise I'll try to create new tutorials more on a more regular basis. But today we're going to be continuing our Principle for Beginners series, and this will be part 2. And in this video, or this tutorial, we want to cover the driver's panel. And a lot of people have been asking about the driver's panel, and it's a little bit hard to explain actually. And if we look at, let's look at what the website says what drivers are. It says here drivers want to make an interactive parallax effect, want a layer to rotate while it is dragged. Drivers are for you. Drivers connect properties to each other using keyframes. And so, unlike animated transitions which occur between artboards, drivers work in artboards. And so, having read that, it still seems a little bit confusing, but I think once you dive into it and just learn how to use drivers, you will have a good understanding of it. And I think just having this video tutorial here, we will you'll be able to use drivers in your next project. So let me just show you what we're going to be creating here using the drivers panel. But you notice here we have a collapsible header. So when you scroll down, it shrinks, and then we also have this back to top button that appears when you scroll down. And then we have this navigation that you can click on, and it will scroll to different parts of the website. And we're going to be accomplishing mostly all of this with the drivers panel today. And so let's get started. I have Principle already open here, and here is a low fidelity website that I created using Principle, and Principle is great for this. All these shapes here were made in Principle. Besides this arrow here, I just imported it from Sketch, but the rest of it, the website here, it was done in Principle. You can see here, they're just individual shapes, different colors. It's really easy to do. Just turn off my notifications here, just so nobody will disturb us here. And it's 1:30 a.m., so I doubt I'll get many notifications, but turn that off. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is, since it's a website and most likely people are going to view website in a browser, and usually you don't see the entire website. Usually you have to scroll down. Usually the window is a little bit smaller, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to adjust our website or our artboard canvas to be a little bit small, or to be a lot smaller actually. So just click on, you see here, click on artboard and just drag up. We'll just drag this up probably around here, and I'll have the link to this Principle file available in the comment section, so you can download it and play around with it, or you can just follow along and create your own website like this. And let me just break down these layers, by the way. So we have header here, then we have the different sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so now we have our canvas here. And what I like to do is I like to view the preview in a really large window. So I'll typically go to window or to view and then go side by side, and then I will just adjust this to be about a large size, but around the right proportions of the actual artboard. And so I can easily click here and look at the preview in a lot larger window than when it's picture in picture. But the next thing we want to do is we want to make this area scrollable. We want to be able to scroll and see all our different sections. So click on section 1 and then just hold down shift and then click on section 4 here, and then we'll just group this, Command G. Try to learn these keyboard shortcuts. Will make prototyping a lot faster in Principle if you know these shortcuts. So let's name this scroll window, and we're going to set a we're going to change this property here to scroll, and we want to scroll vertically, so going up and down, and that's why we're going to leave horizontal as static and change the vertical to scroll. And if you look at the preview, we're still not able to scroll, and that is because our scroll window fits the entire height of our design. What we want to do is we want to adjust that to just be the size of the artboard. So here we go, and if we look down here, or we look here in preview, you'll see that now we're able to scroll, and we're able to scroll quite nicely actually. And another thing we want to do is we want to adjust it to scroll the entire, or we want to adjust the size of this group to be the entire artboard, so that way when we move up the navigation, it'll still scroll past that. And so now that we have a nice scrolling effect here, what we want to do next is we want to shrink this navigation area when we scroll down. So like once we start scrolling, we want it to shrink, and then when we go back up, we want it to expand again. And let's just zoom in here, Command plus to zoom in. And I'll be opening up the drivers panel. Click up here, drivers, and we have it opened. And so what we want to do is when we scroll down, we want this navigation area to shrink, and same with the logo here. This is the logo area, we'll have it shrink. So let's choose header, or open up the header. I've grouped this navigation area into one group. So we'll click on the header, click on the navigation, and click on the actual header bar here, the background, and we'll add some keyframes. I'm assuming we're going to be needing, for all of these, we're going to adjust the height. We're going to be adjusting the Y value because we'll be moving it up. We'll also be adjusting for the logo here. We're going to be adjusting the radius, and we'll adjust the width and the X value of it as well. And here what we're going to do is we want to drag this scrubber to around where we want it to start adjusting when we scroll. So I would say probably around, this would be like probably like around here. And we want to add keyframes again. So just click here, there's a plus. We'll create keyframes for all these different properties. And then now that we have these keyframes, we want to start adjusting. So let's zoom in here so you can see how I'm going to be adjusting. For the logo, I'm just going to be shrinking it a little bit, or I'm going to be, Command Z, not working. But I will be shrinking it down, and I will change the radius a little bit so it remains a nice round rectangle. And then we want to drag the navigation to be around the center of the logo. And then we'll take this header background and shrink it down a little bit. And then let's select all these, let's select all these different layers, and we'll just align it here, align middles, so it's nice and centered. And so now if you look at it, when I'm dragging the scrubber here, you see what happens. And let's see that in our preview window when we scroll. So now it's working quite nicely. When you scroll down, you see the logo shrinking, the background is getting smaller, and everything looks really good so far. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to do the same thing on the driver's panel with the back to top arrow. So click arrow top, let's collapse this here. Click arrow top, and we will add a keyframe. So we'll be adjusting the Y value and the opacity. So the Y value and opacity. And so let's drag the scrubber to 100% and add keyframes here. And then let's go back to 0. And what we want the arrow to do is we want it to kind of fade up. So let's for this one we'll adjust it and bring it down a little bit. So if you hold down shift, it will move it down in increments of 10. And then we also want it to start at 0 opacity. So here, just go opacity. You can just type in 0. And the number, by the way, the values are also draggable, so you can drag. But here it's a lot faster. Just type in 0. And let's see how that looks now. So notice, like we drag down, we scroll down, and you see the arrow pops up. You scroll back up, and it disappears. But now the arrow is not clickable, and we want this to be able to be clickable. That when we click on it, it will go back to the top. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to be duplicating this artboard. So just, click the artboard and then press Command D to duplicate. And then we will tap on, just click on the arrow top, and then click the lightning icon here, and then tap, and then we'll do it to our new artboard. And then, if you see here, it should work already. Oh, it's not working. Why is that? That is because the property is frozen, and so click on the animate panel up here, and then click this arrow. And then if you notice down here, the scroll window is frozen. And so all we want to do is we want to unfreeze that. And once you unfreeze that window, now you'll notice that when you tap the arrow, you'll be able to, it should scroll back up now. Notice it's scrolling back up. Click this and then it should scroll back up. But what happens is, so once it scrolls back up, it doesn't scroll back up again. That's because it goes to this one, and this one doesn't have that happening to it. So we want to click arrow top here, lightning, and we want to link back to the original artboard. And then click the arrow up here again. This is going to be frozen, and we want to unfreeze it. And so now, so pretty much what we're doing is, when this window is scrolled down, we're coming back to this artboard, which is at the right position. And if we scroll down on here, and then we tap the arrow, it goes back to this other artboard again. And so it just keeps going back and forth when it changes position. So scroll down, tap, scroll down, and you notice here you see the green outline, and it shows you which artboard is currently active. Notice you scroll down, and then you tap this, it goes to this artboard. And then once we scroll on this artboard and tap the back to top, then it goes back to this artboard. So it's looking good. We're almost finished with the tutorial. The only thing we have to do now is we want to link these navigation items to different sections of the website. And we're going to be accomplishing that with the drivers panel. That could be done using animations as well, but we'll use the drivers panel for this. So let's duplicate this artboard 2 here. Duplicate it. Or another way to duplicate is you just click on, click on this first one, click on the lightning icon, and then tap, drag it to it, the same artboard, and it will just create a copy of that artboard that you drag it to. And so now what we want to do on this one, like when we click this first icon or first navigation item, we want it to scroll to this section here. So let's make sure that you click on the right artboard. So make sure this artboard is active by, you see that there's a green border around it, artboard 3. And then let's drag the scrubber here, and we'll just drag it to where it scrolls to that section. And so let's test that out and see how it looks. So let's click on artboard, this artboard, preview, and it works great. with low batteries. Oh no. So it works great. Now what we want to do is we want to add the back to top on this one as well. So tap, we can just go back to this artboard here, and then let's try that out. Let's click this artboard, try it out. Scroll down. You can click the first one here and then it scrolls to this section. Back to top still works. Everything's good. Now we want to link this first one to that artboard as well. So just tap it here. Now we want to duplicate, or we want to do the second navigation here and have it linked to this blue section. So we'll do the same thing here. Tap to its own artboard or to the same artboard and it'll create a copy. For this one, we just want to adjust the scrubber. Let's drag this up. Get up. That looks about right. And then we want to link the arrow back to this one, and then we want to link the navigation back to the previous one. So the only thing with doing a lot of pages or a lot of navigation items is you have to link a lot of artboards, but it gets a little tedious, but it's fine. You just have to remember which artboard you need to link to. So tap this one and it'll go to this artboard, and then the back to top button should go back to one of the first two artboards. And then so this navigation here, create a transition to go to that artboard, the second one, second item. And let's test that out and see how it looks. So click the first one, second one, back to the first one, back to top, and we're gonna do the same thing to the third section, and we should be done here. So do the same thing here. Click on the third section, click this icon, and then tap to the same artboard. It'll create a copy. For this one, same thing. Drag the scrubber and make sure it shows just that blue section there. Okay, there we go. And then now we want to back to top, tap to this artboard, and then we want to link this one to the second section. Oops. And this one to the first section. And then we want to link the third one here to this, third one here to this, and same with the first two artboards. And it's a little tedious, I know, but that's the only thing, is it becomes like this big giant web where we have all these different arrows, and it kind of gets hard to figure out, you know, which ones we've done, which ones we haven't done. But here we go. Let's test it out and see how it looks. So let's go back to that first one, and then you can scroll, click on section 1, 2, 3, and back to top again, and it works quite nicely. Oops. I think it's just because the preview is not big enough and it's hard to tap on it. But it all seems to work just right. Oops, I guess this one doesn't work correctly. There you have it. Using the driver's panel, you can see how you can create a collapsible navigation. You can create a back to top menu or back to top arrow. You can create, you can link to different sections of the website here. And that's just the surface of the driver's panel. There's a lot more things you can do with the driver's panel, and we'll try to explore some of that in our future tutorials. So let me know in the comment section if you have any questions about this. or if there's certain things about Principle that you really want to learn and you want me to make a video on. And I would love to make videos on whatever would be the most helpful to you all. Thanks again for watching, and please don't forget to share and subscribe, and tell others about this video if you liked it.